Hi guys, how are you doing today? Hope the sun is shining where you are and you have a drama-free day. Ready for some new Ask a Lawyer stories? Let's go to the first one, about OP's stepmother, who demands OP and his siblings pays for hers and her father's wedding. Well, of course OP refused, and oh boy, what stepmother decided to do. Listen to the story to find out, and of course to hear my insights at the end. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. As background info, my parents have been divorced for over 10 years, and my siblings, 24 female and 19 male, and I, 21 male, met my father's new girlfriend about 4 years ago. She's always had a certain aversion towards us, and we didn't like her either. We tried to tell our father about it, but he's the quiet type, never getting involved and telling us to figure it out. A year ago, I moved out. Now I've learned that my father and his girlfriend plan to get married. Her idea. And despite not being financially well off as a family, she wants a big wedding. The problem is, she demands financial contributions from all of us children, saying we're family too. My sister willingly offered to help, but my brother and I were against it. When I refused to give her any money and suggested a smaller celebration, she got angry and we had a heated argument. We didn't talk for a few days until I found out that a certain sum of money was missing from my account. Turns out, my crazy stepmother had accessed our accounts, taking the money I had with my father's permission. It wasn't a huge amount, but when she refused to return it, I threatened to report her to the police for theft. All relatives think I'm trying to ruin the wedding, and that family comes before money, blah blah. I'm upset and waiting to see if she returns the money, or if I really go through with reporting her. Am I the a-hole? She's expecting a 21 and 19-year-old to contribute? I mean, even a 24-year-old might have a hard time if they haven't gotten into a good or professional position. It's just absurd asking stepkids to pay for your wedding, especially when it's probably not her first wedding. Much less young people who are trying to pay for college or set up their lives. She's disgusting. However, she couldn't have gotten OP's money without OP's father giving it to her. The thing OP doesn't say on here or doesn't understand is that OP's father stole OP's money. OP needs to take a minute and fully realize that father stole from OP. Let's see if the community has the same opinion as me on the matter. Zolara Saya says, report to the bank and to the police immediately. Get your money back. Inocognito says, why would you share an account with your dad? No one should have access to your account. If nothing else, that is my advice and you should look into it ASAP. Now things are tricky. However, if it is your own private account and you don't share that information with anyone, if someone goes in there and takes money, you can absolutely call the police on them and be 100% justified without question. Uppity Eldian says, 1. Your dad has no spine. In order to protect yourself, this is where you're going to diverge. 2. Any family that steals from me isn't family. They're the opposite. Call the bank, report the fraud, and remove your dad from your account. Go to the police station, report the theft. Not the a-hole. No one who's ridiculous enough to try this needs to be in your life. Hey, I, 25 female, ruined my father-in-law's wife's dress and kicked them out of my wedding. Let me explain why. My fiance's parents are divorced. My father-in-law is a weird guy who goes from super good dad to super terrible dad in a split second. He's not made any remarks about me or my family, so originally, I didn't care. He can be there if he wants to, and my mother-in-law doesn't really care either, although we've had to get them seats that are far away from each other. He asked if he could bring his wife, and we said yes. On the other hand, I love my mother-in-law. She's a very kind and loving person. I definitely want her in my wedding. On the wedding day, last week, everything went well. The religious ceremony went exactly like I wanted it to be. It was perfect. Then there came the reception, and this was when it got bad. I got changed into my reception dress. I loved the look. It was perfect. It showed a little bit of my back and cleavage. My husband was happy with the dress because he said I looked stunning. When it was time for us to mingle with the guests, my husband and I went to my father-in-law and his wife. His wife asked if I was not ashamed. I was confused about what she meant. She then made a joke about how I have no curves and showing nothing. I got pretty offended, and I asked her what she meant. She replied, well, at least if you want to show skin, you should show us something, not just a cutting board. It's a way of saying that I'm flat. My father-in-law laughed at the joke and told my husband that he shouldn't be jealous if men look at my chest because I'm basically showing them nothing. I got really pissed and didn't realize what I was doing. Well, I took my wine glass and threw all the contents on my father-in-law's head and dress. I told them to leave the reception ASAP. My father-in-law was pissed and told my husband to control me. I'm his wife, which he responded with, "You should have controlled yours." They left the building and my husband received a long text message from my father-in-law about how he made a mistake by marrying a person like me who doesn't respect elders. His wife also posted a status on Facebook about how she was humiliated by me on my wedding. Now I'm questioning if I went too far. Am I the a-hole? OP's husband was spot on. Well done for him. But the audacity of some people. Do they really think saying things like that will pass without consequences? Well, OP throwing the wine maybe did go a little bit overboard. I always say it's better to try to stay above those people who act rudely toward you and not to get as low as they are. I think it would have been enough just kicking them out. What do you think, guys? Was it a good idea to throw the wine? And of course, let's hear the community's opinion. Rum-soaked chap says, "Not the a-hole. Husband sounds awesome. Give him a high five for me." Own Presentation 6561 says, "Oh my God, the poor wine landed on a pair of a-holes." Not the a-hole. Should have said, "I bet you wish your face was as flat, you prune." Or, "Well, it's better than looking like lipstick on a scrotum." Parsimonious Salad says, "Not the a-hole. Who has the utter lack of basic courtesy to insult the bride at her wedding? What the heck?" Technically, I think throwing wine on them falls under the maid of honor duties, but sounds like she wasn't handy. I'm a little concerned about the controlling your wives comments. Make sure your husband is as insulted by his father as the wife. He laughed and repeated the insult just in case your husband didn't get it the first time. Apparently, he values women by their breast size. I, 24 female, recently attended my sister's, 21 female, wedding. It was a modest event, with both the bride and groom having smaller families and not many friends. To be honest, my sister has never been super social and/or loud, which is why I'm a little surprised and honestly a little betrayed as to why she would disrespect me like this. My sister and her husband, 20 male, have been together since junior year and had been engaged for 2 years prior to their marriage. They started planning their wedding a year ago, and I was asked immediately to be my sister's bridesmaid. I was obviously honored and accepted without hesitation. My sister created a group chat with all of her bridesmaids a few months ago, and we have been planning it all in said group chat. I have no issues with that, and it was fun to have the giddiness of planning such a special event. The problem comes in, though, with the bridesmaid's outfit. I tend not to be a picky person, but the dress she chose for us all was absolutely hideous. I cannot even begin to explain to you all how bad this dress is, but when I spoke about such critiques, I was berated by everyone else. It ticked me off, considering I felt I should have had more of an opinion in my own sister's wedding, and to be brushed off so easily was a little disheartening. I continued to voice my complaints the entire months coming up, but I was later silenced when my sister threatened to drop me from the wedding. I almost decided against attending afterwards and even refused to speak to my sister a while afterwards, but I ultimately decided to give in and attend as I didn't want to miss my sister's wedding. As the wedding got closer, though, I happened to stumble upon a beautiful ivory dress. Just to clarify, this looks nothing like a wedding dress. It is short and even has a slit, something my sister's dress does not. Before you get on to me, my sister's dress was pure white, so our colors didn't even match. I didn't tell anyone that I was going to wear this dress, minus my current boyfriend, 24 male, as he would be attending the wedding with me, and I wanted for us to match. He wore an ivory button-up and black dress pants, nothing major as well. Unfortunately, as soon as I walked into the room where all the bridesmaids and my sister were getting ready, I was met with nothing but yelling. My sister started screaming about me. She called me things like selfish and an attention W. I understand I should have told her about my dress choice before I got there, but she was acting like I showed up in a full wedding gown. I obviously started screaming back until she brought up my previously failed engagement that occurred only a year ago. I was obviously livid, as she had no right to bring up my trauma just because of a dress. I could have changed if she was all that incredibly bothered. I've never had the best temper, and I'm a little ashamed of how I acted without thought, but I ripped my sister's veil off her head and stormed out of the room. It's not 2 days later, and my phone has been blowing up nonstop. I stopped reading after yesterday when my sister began to threaten to sue me, And our mom told me about how the wedding was postponed because of my sister's mental health. I understand I probably shouldn't have attacked her like that, but I don't think I'm the only one at fault here. Am I the a-hole? It's OP's sister's wedding, not OP's. Ivory is white. Doesn't matter if it looks like a wedding dress or not. It's common knowledge that you don't wear white to a wedding unless you're the bride. Not only is OP the one at fault here, but OP is the one who is causing drama for the entire event. From the planning to the day. Every bride would be furious in OP's sister's place. Let's hear the community's opinion. Comfortable Zebra 2412 says, "You're the a-hole. Everything past "I don't really like this dress" was wrong. You wore an ivory dress for attention. You insulted your sister. And yes, you ruined her wedding. You are jealous or plain an a-hole. You are completely in the wrong." Marianne 0601 says, "You're the a-hole. It is common wedding etiquette not to wear white, ivory, or champagne dresses to a wedding. Then you attack her for your own disgusting behavior. Where are your parents in all of this? Incidentally, as a bridesmaid, you have no say in the dresses. They are chosen by the bride, and you can give a gentle opinion, but the bottom line is you're not the bride, and it's not your wedding. Many of us have worn hideous dresses being a bridesmaid. You're supposed to care enough about the bride to smile through it and give the bride her day. Unfortunately, you don't care about anyone but yourself. You're a nightmare. On the bright side, now everyone knows how pathetic and miserable you really are." This happened a couple of years ago, so details are a little fuzzy, but this story was so aggravating that a lot of it was ingrained in my memory. I was around 14, and it was my first time babysitting. I knew they were tourists, and I was warned that babysitting for tourists is terrible, but I agreed anyway. I arranged with the dad to babysit from 19 to 2,200 hours. We agreed on around $8 an hour, which is pretty cheap where I live for 3 children. He also sent me their address. When I arrived, I realized they sent me the wrong address, so I got there a couple of minutes late. While I was hurrying to get there, the dad sent me messages complaining that I was making them late, despite him being the one who sent me the wrong address. I probably should have taken this as a sign of things to come, but alas, I didn't. When I arrived, the older 2 kids were awake, and I was told their bedtimes were 8 and 8:30. The parents left and we spent an hour on their tablet. Then I tried to put the middle child to bed. Immediately she started crying and protesting, saying her parents would never make her go to bed. I tried calling their dad, and he answered the second time I called, angrily, saying, "What?" They told her she can go into their room and wait there. The older one went to bed. She was actually really sweet, and I could start my homework. While they were out, the youngest woke up and wanted to talk to his parents. When I called, they refused to answer my calls, just sent a message saying they were too busy, and I was anxiously waiting for them to come home. At 9:45, I got a message saying they were on their way back. About 5 minutes later, they sent a message with a picture of a punctured tire saying the car had broken down on a main road in the country. I noticed that the lines that divide the shoulder from the road was white, which is weird because where I live they're always a bright yellow, but I didn't think too much of it at the time. I felt bad that they were stranded in a foreign country, so I didn't complain. They didn't get back until 2 a.m. His wife put some money in my bag and said that should be all we owe you. I was so tired by that point as I had only expected to be there until 10, and it's 4 hours later. My dad had been wondering where I was, and he told me to insist that they drive me home. It's only about a 10-minute drive, because of how late it was. When I got home, he said a reluctant thanks and drove away. I was so tired I went straight to bed. The next day, I checked in my bag and saw that they had only given me $32, which is only 4 hours pay, as opposed to the 7 I was there. I sent an angry message basically saying, "What the duck? Why did you only pay me for a fraction of what I'm owed?" Their response, "Well, we were only expecting to pay for 3 hours, so that's how much we owed you. We even gave you an extra $8 because we felt bad." I sent a message back basically saying that's not how it works, and they refused to send more money to my parents, and they refused because you bothered us with your calls and ruined our evening. I called them twice, and they didn't answer one of those times. What makes this even ruder was that they were literally in their holiday home, so they could definitely afford to give me the $24 they still owed me. After that, I was very suspicious of them. I reverse image searched the picture they sent me of the punctured tire and found it elsewhere on the internet. They literally lied to stay out until 2 a.m. and screw me out of pay and make me stay late. I was very hurt, but I was only 14 and didn't want to waste my time chasing after them. I took it as a lesson to be more selective and less naive about who I babysit for. Since then, I've never had parents as entitled as these to a free babysitter.